You are listening to Your New Puppies Podcast, starting you and your dog off on the right paw. Here's your host, Debbie Salento.
Hello and welcome to episode 107 of Your New Puppies Podcast.
I'm Debbie, and today we're going to talk about a super common struggle, whether you have a puppy or a full-grown dog, and that is when they interrupt mealtime. So not their mealtime, your dog's mealtime, your mealtime. So whenever the humans of the household, whether it's just you or you and, the whole family with kids, trying to sit down and eat, and your dog is begging, barking, maybe pacing, or just attention seeking. And of course, this is totally normal, especially because food is involved. It can also be that, especially if you have a whole family gathering together, your dog wants to participate. And because dinner time can sometimes be a little chaotic with, finishing cooking, setting the table, everybody trying to wrangle everybody to sit down, having your dog underfoot, getting excited with all of this chaos and movement, just adding to it. So what we're going to talk about here is, preventing it from happening altogether, which, is my favorite thing to do. And also, if it's already happening, we're going to talk about how to redirect it and possibly manage it. And the good news is these are things that you can start doing today. It may not work immediately because we have to develop a new habit, but you can start doing it. And this is actually one of my favorite places to talk about how you can train without training. So there's no teaching new cues, running drills, setting up scenarios. The things I'm going to talk about today, those things can help. If what we talk about today isn't working, that's something else you can try. But we're just going to talk about, by using consistency, a little bit of structure, and creating some patterns, aka habits, we can create a peaceful dinner time without having to ask for it. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is that we are never going to feed our dogs from the table. So I guess this is the first thing we're not going to do. So this one seems very obvious. And I used to say, only ever feed your dog in their bowl. But I'm going to modify that a little bit because I don't think it matters if it's in their bowl or not. It's that you don't want to feed your dog from your plate while you're eating. Because then every time you sit down to eat, they're going to beg for food because that's when they're used to getting it. So I have a whole episode, it's episode 25, where I talk about, is human food good for your dog? Can you feed it to them? Spoiler alert, the answer is yes. But it does matter when you give it to them. If you give it to them while you're cooking, you're cutting up, some peppers and you give them a little bit of bell pepper, they're going to sit at your feet while you're cooking. If you don't mind that, go ahead. If you do, don't feed them while you're cooking. You can save some and give it to them later. Maybe save it for a little bit of training or games, or just give them a treat later when you're not eating or cooking. And if you want to listen to that episode about human food, if you can feed it to your dogs, that's episode 25, playtimepause.com/episode 25. I will link to any resources I talk about in the show notes. There's going to be a couple past episodes that are going to help you with some things we're going to talk about. Okay, so that's going to prevent it, all right? And if it's already happening, this is a new habit we're going to start for us, okay? It seems like an obvious one, but sometimes we need a little reminder. Now, the next one is also an obvious one if you listen to me a lot, but if they are already begging, you have to ignore them. If the begging is intrusive, like jumping on laps or barking or something, we're going to talk about that in a second. But in general, if you can, you want to completely ignore it if it's already started happening. Because just like anything with our dogs, even negative attention can reinforce a behavior. So if you're saying, no, go lie down, you get up, you bring them to your bed, that might also be reinforcing the behavior. Even though you're not giving them food, whenever you're eating, especially something like dinner time where everybody's gathered at the table, they want to be part of the action. So attention is involved as well as the food itself. So it's ignore, no eye contact, no talking, not even to say no. This one is easier said than done, especially if you have a large family. If there's less people or if it's just you, it's much easier. So don't worry, we are not done yet. Now, this third one is going to be the most powerful thing you do, okay? And everything you do is going to be a combination of everything I've talked about. You don't have to just choose one. But this is where you are going to give your dog something else to do. And this is where, with a little bit of consistency, we can build a habit or a pattern for our dogs so they know exactly what is expected of them, which is to be quiet with their own dinner, okay? So that's exactly what you're going to do. I just gave it away. You're going to feed your dog at the same time, but you're going to feed them in a way that it takes them a little longer to eat. So this is where I'm talking about a Kong, a frozen maize bowl. Maybe it's not just their dinner, but it's, a long chew as well. And this is going to help set your dog up for success because we're going to occupy them with their own food, their own activity before they're even able to start getting involved and be underfoot during the human's dinner time. Now, I have a couple episodes that can give you some ideas of what to do. There is episode 18, which is Ditch the Bowl and Make Mealtime an Event, where it's going to take your dog longer to eat and it's going to be more engaging than just eating out of a bowl, right? Because that takes 30 seconds. That's not going to help us here. I'm talking about a puzzle ball. I already mentioned like a frozen maize bowl where they have to like lick it and eat it and it takes them longer to do. I also have episode 84 where I have my favorite do-it-yourself meal puzzles. So you don't even have to go out and buy a product. You can listen to that and you probably have some supplies already in your house where you can create a little bit of a puzzle for your dog. Now, this is also where you might remove access completely. So maybe it's in a gated room or an exercise pen or in their crate. Okay, because a lot of times you're going to have to remove them where if they're jumping on the table, jumping on the people sitting there, barking at you right at the table, underfoot while you're still trying to cook, then just remove them. Just don't give them access to that area. Now, this is where you might have to turn back to the second thing I talked about, ignore them, because they might start barking or getting upset once they're done with their food and the family's still eating. You got to ignore them. And eventually they will learn to settle down because the barking doesn't work. And you can experiment a little bit with this. Some dogs do better if they're right in the room, but in their crate. Some dogs will be fine as long as they have their own little meal. They'll fall asleep on their bed without being confined right after. But some will need to be in a separate room altogether because there's just too much stimulation. You can experiment a little bit with that. But once you find what works best, you're going to make it part of your dinner time routine. Like make it one of the dinner time jobs. Whoever sets the table also brings the dog into their crate or into their wherever they need to go and gives their dog their special treat. And if you're consistent with it, your dog's going to eventually see the tables being set. Okay, I'm going to go and sit down and wait for my thing because I know it comes over here. Okay, so these are things you can start doing now. They're only going to take a little bit of effort to start, and the more you do it, the more consistent you are, the faster you're going to get results, and the faster that you're going to be able to have a little more calmness during dinner without even having to ask, because your dog knows exactly what to expect, the family knows what to do. So stick with it for at least a week to see if you see any improvement. Some people are like 2 days, nope, can't take this, the dog's still barking. Do it for at least a week and then see what happens. And that is all I have for you today. Now, this is also a great example of the things that we talk about inside Your Perfect Puppy, where you get at least 6 months access to me. We do weekly live Q&As and talk about topics like this. Having to manage new habits and behaviors that might pop up, and then addressing them with weekly updates so we can adjust for you and your family. And that's exactly what I mean when I talk about Your Perfect Puppy is about raising your puppy into a well-mannered dog. So if something like that sounds interesting to you, you can get more information at playtimepaws.com/puppy. And even if your dog is no longer a puppy, you get so many resources with the program that it will support you way past puppyhood. And as always, if you are enjoying this podcast, you can rate and review it wherever you listen, and that helps other dog owners find the podcast. I thank you so much for listening. I'll speak with you soon. Bye for now.